Good evening, everyone. Christ is risen. Through the prayers of Holy Fathers, with Jesus Christ, our God of mercy on us and save us. And it's Father Joseph Sweden, and I have a very important tweet, which you see here. It is from Aristomenes, Papa Dimitriou, so it's official. Apparently, a woman has been ordained to the orders of priesthood in the Eastern Orthodox Church. I say supposedly. It seems, it's obviously from Aristomenes here, so it must be true. This fellow, this bishop fellow, I think he's a Metropolitan Seraphim of Piraeus. No, I'm kidding, not Piraeus. It's from someplace in Alexandria, and he made a woman a deacon, and they're trying to say, so let me get to the hellos first. Slava Bogu, Christ is risen, truly is risen, truly is risen, truly is risen. Alithus Ukilius. Okay. Hello, Blue Hills. And which church? This is the Alexandrian Patriarchate. They're still talking about it as of last week, except now they're coming out more openly. Like at first, they were like calling her a deaconess and stuff, but now this guy has just opened the door. He's just flat out said she is now part of the orders of the priesthood, which, as you know, I'm a fairly new priest. I was a deacon until last year, so she is now my rank as of last year as a woman. So anyone wondering about whether or not where world orthodoxy is going, I mean, a lot of people are in shock. Not our listeners, of course. Our listeners are high info people, but a lot of people are in shock. I'm still putting together an article again, because I get tired a lot with articles, but we actually covered this 7 years ago. So none of this is new, because I love saying I told you so, even though I really shouldn't. Let me see here if I can just find our own article on this, because we were right, as always. Here we go. Okay, so let's see here. This was a post from NFT. We'll get this tragic picture I see here. Let me see. This is expected. Christ is risen. Truly is risen. Attack on the church. Well, if they're in the church, it's an attack on the church, but they're not. So that's okay. This is an act of iconoclasm. I think it's more of an act of severe feminism, but I don't know about modernism. Yeah, but technically, it's not like they chopped her up afterwards or anything. Scrolling down the comment, apparently she was ordained a deaconess, not a priest. But he's saying it really they use the form for the ordination of a deacon. So she's not a deaconess because there was an order of deaconess. She's literally a woman deacon, and I think this is one of those things you have to be very careful when talking to your heterodox and world orthodox friends with, is that they may say she was ordained a deaconess. Deaconesses did not wear a sticharion and an orarion. They didn't wear those. That's a deacon's thing. This woman is ordained a deacon. So please do not make the mistake, and I know we're fighting big media here, but don't make the mistake of falling into the trap of saying they made a deaconess. They did not. They ordained a woman deacon. And you should say that to your friends when they say, what do you mean deaconess? No, we don't mean deaconess. Not at all. But just to, point this out, this is an article from 7 years ago, March 2017, to give you an idea of just how old this is for true Orthodox people. As you can see, they're reading prayers over women over here. At least a couple of those look like nuns, and then there's some lady with big hair right there, and I guess they're like kind of being. This occurred back in 2017 in February, and they had voted like a month before that they were going to start allowing women's ordinations. So yeah, that's the fun part. The fun part is that as they give the impression that this is new and different, it's not in the Alexandrian Patriarchate at all. It's actually like 7 years old. They've created a precedent for this. But because, one, Africa is getting increasingly visible. There are true Orthodox in Africa throughout. As a matter of fact, if I can pull up the Facebook page of one GOC priest, he pointed out not only this weekend or that past weekend was a woman ordained a deacon, but a priest who was married and got divorced also celebrated his remarriage as a priest. That's all the Patriarchate of Alexandria, folks. That's how it kind of works over there. That's the modus operandi, if you will. Of course, this is Sunday, so it's a live call-in show. Feel free to click in the link in blue if you want to join the chat. If you have friends, enemies, people who think we're terrible, bring them on. Give them the link. Tell them right now, the old man in the sweater is ready to fight. Okay, or just answer questions. I'm ready to answer questions. But yes, I see that people are kind of horrified. Is true genuine Orthodoxy in China and Japan? I am by no means an expert in Asia. However, what I have discovered is that in some cases there were true Orthodox missions that collapsed. In some cases, there were true Orthodox missions that expanded. I would probably reach out to parishes in Asia, like the GOC in Indonesia, etc., and see if there's any connections with possible potential parishes. I realize they're different countries. I know that. But the whole point is, regionally, there is more of an awareness about the other than some fat guy in Pennsylvania. That's just the reality of things. I just learned today that there was Matthewite parish in Switzerland. Like, I don't have all the information. When you're talking about millions of people all over the world, for all I know, there's a true Orthodox mission forming in a place people are looking, and I don't even know it. But where we can't find any, we've got to start looking and seeing what we can do to help find people to assist. Because it's not simply about finding the true Orthodox for every region, it's about finding the closest true Orthodox in every region. In some cases, I will say there's some tough nuts to crack when it comes to missionary stuff. Places that are, like a place like, if you're dealing with, like in Africa, it's very common in the northern parts for there to be true Orthodox. But as you get further down, it is considerably harder. I'm hoping, I've heard for people in South Africa, and I'm trying to see if there were other people there. So the question is, it's got to be about regionality, what's feasible, etc. And it's tricky. We're in a tricky time. But hopefully, as more people leave in horror as they see that women are being ordained deacons, like in the Anglican Church, the sister church of the Greek Archdiocese and others, then maybe more will come about. Okay. That's a shock. Look, that was quick. Anthony P.S. is true Orthodox, genuine Orthodoxy in China and Japan. And Jeffrey Perez says, I'm the only true Orthodox in Japan, Anthony, but we're here. Okay, so this is good. That's possible. James says, interesting. Jeffrey Perez says, I wanted to ask about St. Phoebe and her being a deaconess. There's a lot of information on the deaconesses, and the best source and clearest is probably St. Epiphanius, who explains that the purpose of the deaconess was ultimately to catechize and baptize female converts because baptisms were performed in the nude. This isn't what happens anymore, and that's certainly not what's happening there. And other pictures that we have seen in the previous week, we did a show, and Orthodox Traditionalist Publications wrote an article about it. However, you can see she's clearly vested as a deacon. She's reciting the litanies as a deacon. She's communing people as a deacon. She's not a deaconess. She's a woman deacon. Haunted Umami says, Christ is risen. There may be more. You never know. Jeffrey, did you know of Vladika Daniel of Japan who reposed recently? I heard a random rumor of there being some Romanian old calendarists in Japan, but I could be misremembering. Okay. Part of the Moscow Patriarchate. Why aren't baptisms performed in the nude anymore? Because one thing to keep in mind is that practice died out with the legalization of Christianity as Christianity became a more public-facing religion. that could be considered a cause of scandal, and the baptismal robes became a practical way of solving that. So for all intents and purposes, with the invention of baptismal robes, people didn't need deaconesses anymore. So let me see here. Yes, that is what they assisted in baptizing women. Unfortunately, that is not what's being done in Alexandria. And if anyone tells you that that's just a historical and ancient role in the church, you let them know, no, deaconesses were not serving at liturgy, and we're not distributing communion, and not in the altar. That is all not a deaconess. What they've created is not a deaconess. They've created a monster. Anthony, I do not know him. Forgive me. Father, I'm in the chat. What do you think of the coin in the fish's mouth from Simon Peter Kephas in Matthew 17, 24, 27? Well, Frank, I'm not sure what you're trying to ask with the question, so you're going to have to be clearer. Yeah, it is. That's absolutely true. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. So, we live in Orthodox Japan. The Orthodox in the Silence Military Chapel led by World Orthodox priests. Community is about 5 to 15 world. You should show him the deacon, the woman deacon. Maybe he'll reconsider. You never know. I mean, a lot of the times people won't. But some of the rank and file, I think, clergy in World Orthodoxy really never saw this coming. Yeah, they did. They did the whole vesting with the Irarian and everything. Really, really kind of weird. But the ears are losing the way in Greece. Well, not exactly. We're growing in Greece is how we phrase it. And this is kind of what happens when you're dealing with this, when you have the whole heretical versus non-heretical crowd. And like, for example, the Unionists, etc. Eventually people start to realize, those guys, we thought they were the extremists, but they kind of make sense. And maybe we don't want to do joint prayers with Roman Catholics and have women deacons and stuff. It makes people realize stuff like that. And then he says, "Hello everyone, Christ is risen." Hey Saba, Jeffrey, are you Nectarius Perez in Japan? I didn't know Nectarius Perez was in Japan. Father Joseph, have people in World Orthodox like hierarchs or bishops explicitly spoken against it publicly in public statements to your knowledge? No. There was one EP Bishop of Hong Kong who did make a statement, which was like, well, we know the history of deaconesses, and we know that this is not exactly how they were supposed to be done, but there was an ancient office of deaconess, and kind of meanders off and doesn't actually say anything. Let me see here. I've seen your post on Telegram. Good to see you. And since you were in Japan, would you be able to get me a copy of the scriptures translated by St. Nikolai in Japan, the Gospels in Psalter at least? Okay. Yes, it's me. LOL. By the way, all of us, these great folks, are in the Discord, the NFTU Discord. So if you're one of those Discord people, feel free to join them. Okay. That's kind of awesome. And so let me see here. Do you see a leadership role from St. Simon Peter, and also in Acts 15, the coin also placed in the eyes of the dead from the Jewish custom? I think that's an over extrapolation. Frank, if you want to come on, I mean, you mentioned that you had challenged me in something a few years ago. You just have to click in the link up on the top in blue in the chat box. But no, I don't see this. There's coins referenced a lot in different parts of the Old Testament and New Testament. The fact that a coin was used in the case of paying taxes has nothing to do with the coin being placed on the eyes of the dead. That's an extrapolation that it makes no sense. I realize what you're doing here. You're trying to build a case for every single thing that Peter touched automatically made him more worthy to the papacy, but that's just not how it works. It's an asegesis, not an exegesis. Okay, thought those would do well. Okay. Christ is risen. Jeffrey, this is Aristotle. How can I contact you? I need more info about Japan Orthodox. Okay, so now there's two people. There are 2 or 3 gathered in my name. There sounds like there's a few people in Japan. So you guys you want to keep talking in the chat about it. That's cool. I'll just kind of pass through them because that's great. We may be seeing the beginning of a mission as we speak. So again, it's questions, comments, etc. Who, Father, what languages do you speak? Well, I speak English and Spanish fluently. I used to be able to speak barely passable Russian. I never really spoke Latin as I don't have any, kind of Latin background. I only know that he's Slavic, Russian, or Ukrainian. What's your name on the Discord? I thought it was. Oh wait, that's Nectarios Lopez. I've confused Jeffrey. You're not on the Discord. Get on the Discord. So I confused Jeffrey Perez with Nectarios Lopez. I feel kind of bad now. Like I'm the worst. I lose my Hispanic card now. They just take it away. Okay, so getting back to the questions here. If anyone is available if wants to ask any questions or comments, so far we've got that one concerning the Roman Catholic coins, and I will check in show suggestions to see what we've got here. Let's see here. What's this? True that I remember the AFR thing on deaconesses. Dr. Jeannie Constantinou said that the rejection of female priests on the basis of Christ not choosing female. Yeah, a few of us raided that chat and got us in big trouble. We were in big trouble. Not choosing female is a Roman Catholic argument. Sounds like the World Orthodox are going to do female priests as a sex. Of course, they're following the Anglicans on this. The Roman Catholics are using the Orthodox in this case because what they do, using the World Orthodox in this case, because then what they can do is they can start introducing, deaconess, female deacons, etc., and they can say, well, look, the Orthodox are doing it, and they're so ancient. So you see, it's kind of a game, unfortunately. But let's get to see if show suggestions, what we've got here. For anyone who doesn't know, I will be uploading it soon. I did have a discussion with the Bellarmite on baptism yesterday. It's on his channel. I was hoping I could just cross-share it, but I couldn't, so I have to download it and upload it here. And let me see what else I can find in this thingamabob. Okay. Looking for show suggestions. The only one I have is the one which is the one on the Diamond Brothers doing the strongest argument against the papacy, which is Pope Vigilius. First off, that's not a very strong argument. Let me see here. And Discourse says, the funny thing, yes, is that St. Epiphanius makes the exact same argument in Panaria in 73, 72 against the Colorides. So much for a Roman Catholic argument. It's not a Roman Catholic argument. And that's the problem with, how do I put this? These famous World Orthodox women authors. I mean, Jeannie Constantinou has been lecturing in churches in a cassock. That's insane. This is like we're getting to new levels of modernist weirdness that we didn't experience before. And so I really, really encourage people to try to find the closest true Orthodox church that you can, because there usually is one somewhere. Particularly, there's pictures of it. There's been pictures of some of her lectures, which at least one where I saw where she was wearing a cassock while doing a lecture in front of the church. So Father, much respect. Yeah, again, please feel free. If anyone wants to come on, ask questions, challenge me, challenge the Orthodox faith. That's the best part. Most of the stuff that I respond on when it comes to like apologetics and stuff isn't even mine. I just have to ape someone else's words, who's usually a holy person, thank God. And it's a really easy answer. You're kidding me, Father Joseph? No, I'm not. I mean, this is like just out there. Like, this isn't. People seem to get like, I don't know, maybe it's like the ADD, like in social media, so that people just forget really quickly. But yeah, this stuff happens all the time. See, Saba said, no, that Dr. Eugenia has been at it for years. There's multiple videos even. Yeah, I get, we all lack the phronema to understand it. But yeah, it's been happening. That was an inside joke okay. Anyway, again, this is a live Q&A. Questions, comments. Christ truly is risen. And so, just again, don't forget that we are live, and let's see here. Going to put in the call-in live using the link at the top of the chats. And, of course, the lovely support the channel bar underneath. I am here looking to see what we can answer because, as always, the hard question is, and the ultimate question is, one more time, is what is holding you back from joining the Orthodox Church? And obviously, when we're putting up pictures of women deacons, it is clear we do not believe that is the Orthodox Church, or at least it should be. I remember you and Bishop Enoch reviewed the book on the special Franema sauce. Yeah. Oh, that's the noose juice. That's Romanitas. But yeah, Dr. Jeannie does mention Romanitas. Okay, hey, we've got a visitor. Let's see who got it. Father Boniface. Christ is risen, Father.
Christ is risen. Indeed, he is risen.
How's it going? How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling all right. It's a hard week. I rested all day Saturday.
Oh, thank God. So, thank God. You know, it was a hard week, but it's done. We're now in the Paschal season as we speed towards Pentecost.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes we get strange questions. I don't know how. I'm not Canadian. I don't know how to feel. I get the impression from news articles he's not very good. That's a good one, Jeep. Anyway, no spinal fluid. Sorry. You know, he doesn't have the noose juice. But yeah. So in any case, again, we're looking for questions, comments. What is holding you back from becoming an Orthodox Christian? We're here for you. And so the point is, so really, that's been the big news today. Yes, someone says, glad to see Father Boniface at Saba there. And I think he visited your home there. And yep. So that.
Oh, anyway, yeah. He was a big help. Yeah.
Indeed. So again, it's in, it's in open Q&A. Anyone who wants to jump in will. And as you can see here, myself and Father Boniface are here to answer questions or give comments on what you choose, or we will try to find videos. Let me see here. I'm trying to see here. And by the way, I did get your subscription link, Father. So I'm going to review that. Hopefully I'll do a review maybe in the middle of the week to get an idea.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that'll be good. Let me see here. Looking for show suggestions. If you open them up and find something interesting, post it. Yes, because we'd like to. Somebody did mention that. Yes, if you have something you want to talk about on the show, I have to type it as I write it. Because the only thing we've got so far is a Diamond Brothers video that's an hour, which means that it'll take a while, and it probably won't be that good. Hold on. Put on the live stream. Let us know. See, that was live. So you can see I said that live, and now it showed up in the Discord, guys. Anyway, let's see here. Aristotle Rivera writes, Father bless, why are you not part of the GOCK? What would it take you to make you want to be part of the GOCK? I'm just curious why. Okay, well, first off, I'm not part of the GOCK because I wasn't part of the GOCK. I just haven't been part of it. I know people in the GOCK. I know clergy in the GOCK who are very happy. The priest who baptized me was a priest. Is now a priest of the GOCK. But what would it make me want to be part of the GOCK? I mean, I don't know if like a nuclear bomb destroyed our bishops and stuff, and I had no place left to go except another bishop. I mean, the idea is we stay under our bishops not simply because we're canonically mandated to, but because we're happy with them. I don't feel like I like Metropolitan Demetrius. I've known him as a person for many, many years since he was a monk. But like, I don't want to give the impression that I'm not happy where I am. I am happy. Like, and I think we are happy. That's kind of, there's reasons that, we don't. And I think that most people respect that, I hope. But, it just depends, I guess. Your blessings, Father Joseph and Father Boniface.
God bless.
And so, yeah. I'm not into, and maybe this is, I hate to say this, but maybe this is a product of kind of like the whole team mentality that started with, with like, the like internet YouTuber type apologists for World Orthodoxy, where it was always like my team or your team. I already experienced that in microcosm 20 years ago at the great start of the internet when I saw all the different groups of true Orthodox warring against each other. The idea that people can have common celebrations in different countries between different synods of true Orthodox didn't exist back then. But you know what existed back then? Guys trying to convince other guys to go from true Orthodox to other true Orthodox. It doesn't make sense. Like, if you found a church and you're happy with it, glory to God. We're happy with you. But the point is, instead of asking, why am I not part of the GOCK? I'm sure you have World Orthodox friends. Ask them why they are not part of the GOCK. Let's bring people who want to discover orthodoxy into orthodoxy, as opposed to taking the same people who are already true Orthodox and trying to convince them that yours is the best group. Like, it's very possible that, the GOCK makes the best breakfast sandwiches, but that's not enough for me to go. I think I make a pretty decent breakfast sandwich. I don't have to. What I'm saying is, once you're already true Orthodox, the synodal differences and concerns become increasingly superficial. Okay, we've got question for Father Boniface. I see your question, John MC. I'll get to it next. I missed it. What's your reading list right now? And also, what's on the dinner menu tonight? Asking before Matushka Stephanie can.
Well, I guess I'll go with I'll answer the second one. I already had some dinner, but I'm going to have a snack later on. It's going to be, let me see, it's going to be some bread. It's going to be like a pancake made up of cassava, flax, and a sorghum flour, and then with a plantain banana cooked in safflower oil. So I can't eat wheat, so I got to be creative. And what's on my reading list right now? Well, I'm reading about this afternoon. I was digging into more on the Regis side of Charles I, and of all who put him to death. There were 59 men who signed his death warrant, and and when Charles II came into power, he went after those who were still living. So they either fled or were killed. So I'm looking into why, what their backgrounds were, what they were thinking about, what their positions were, Protestant, fifth millennialist, levelers, just to get an idea of the times, the thinking of the times, and then bring it up to snuff with today. And also looking at the possibility of occult involvement in all these things with the regicide. So that's, and plus I'm also enjoying reading the prologue of the Orid from time to time, so that's pretty much up to date right now. Besides working on that house, which is keeping me real busy.
Sounds good. All right, we've got a bunch of new comments here. Let's see here. So we got Haunted Mommy found that funny. Father Boniface has good taste in food since he's going to eat plantain. A pox upon Cromwell. Frank says St. Hilary Potier's Blessed Simon, after his confession of the mystery, was said to be the foundation stone of the church and received the keys of the kingdom. But nobody disputes this. That's not a proof of the papacy. John MC asks, Christ is risen. The Diamond Brothers are still at it. What ails them? Frankly, I think that ultimately they are kind of they're still a set of Acontis cults. They have less and less logical foundation on which to lay things. And I think as more and more people become Orthodox, particularly true Orthodox, they really have all they can do is lash out in anger and make more and more deceptive. Maybe we will just review their deceptive video because it's going to be deceptive. We know it. And it's probably going to be pretty annoying. Response to people who openly think the EP are head diving into heresy, and Serbs, Bulgarians, Georgians are a viable option when the EP is totally gone. If this is too common question, I'll ask on Discord. No, it's not a common question. It's a common mentality. We see this a lot. People are like, well, the EP is going bad, but we'll still have, ROCOR, and we'll still have, the Serbs and Bulgarians to a degree are already so heavily enmeshed in ecumenism. The Georgians are as well, but it's less visible. And so people keep pointing to Patriarch Ilya. Patriarch Ilya is not in good shape, and the rest of his church is pro-ecumenism. So you're asking for trouble, unfortunately. Is the majority of world Orthodoxy bringing the converts into Orthodoxy via how? Sprinkling water, just chrismation, or what way? That's a great question. If you are following the older SCOBA guidelines, and I think that to some degree they've been enmeshed into each jurisdiction's guidelines very carefully, it's about 50%, about 70% of mainline Protestant churches are simply chrismated. Like, if you're on an approved listing, there's a good chance you're going to just be received by chrismation in world Orthodoxy. It has to be the really extreme mega church bubble pool type baptisms that they'll be like, okay, we'll redo it. But otherwise, they're very loath to baptize people correctly. When it comes to Roman Catholics, there's no question. No question whether it doesn't matter how bad they did it. In most world Orthodox jurisdictions, they will just be like, nope, we have to chrismate you. In fact, this was such a big problem that with the Ephraimites, because they at least knew that you had to baptize, they had a layperson who, and this has changed now since they have ROCOR priests to work with, but they had to have a layperson who would do the baptism, because if the priest was found doing a baptism in violation of Greek Archdiocese guidelines, he could be defrocked. So they put a layman there to just do the baptism so that they could then just do the chrismation. So the whole thing is really sad and legalistic. And then, that's Discord. Yep, very good. Your snack sounds very tropical, Father. I also read the book you gave me about Charles I. Wonderful read. What are you currently working on at the Hermitage, Father? We just finished Bright Week.
Well, I had to. The flooring was giving me trouble, so I really had to level it. And so my floor man loaned me his floor chisel. And so I'm chiseling up the whole house that's going to get the flooring. And that chisel is heavy, but it does a great job, but it's a lot of work. So I'm going to finish up the chiseling soon, and then start in on my painting. So I'm really, the Lord has provided some people to help me with this house when it was really needed. And so when he loaned me this floor chisel, which is 18 pounds, apparently feels heavier than that, but it's a lot of work. So, but he has provided these helps, which has just been tremendous, and I just praise the Lord for that. So that's the report now. I'll be moving in, Lord willing, on painting this week, and then start getting that floor put in, and then it'll really start moving. I'll be able to start moving in.
Well, thank God. Okay, Frank Pro asked, do you follow Brother Nathaniel? Is he true Orthodox? I do not. I know he's pretty popular in a lot of circles. He was semi, and it's disputed. I don't know enough to know whether he was actually a member of ROAC or not. Before he became part of ROCOR, he was under Gregory of Colorado. It's all iffy there. I don't know what his history was. Some ROAC people would be better to answer that. But then he went from ROAC under Gregory to ROCOR MP, and has been with them ever since. And I asked him a question about his history, and he gave such a deceptive answer. I don't take him seriously. Recently know of someone who was baptized by an OCA church only after they insisted by baptism, not full immersion, and he was told it was accommodation baptism. Wait a second. Well, what did they give him? That doesn't make sense. So he didn't trust his baptism was valid, so they gave him an improper form of baptism as an accommodation? I don't get it. Do true Orthodox rebaptize people by triple immersed by World Orthodoxy? Generally not. If there's a record of a triple immersion, we don't. MC said, yeah, I think, brother, he is with Rocor MP. I live in a remote section of a state that was settled by members of the Cromwell family who found it expedient to leave England. Okay. Well, let me see here. Nathaniel was with no one. Well, none of us. I've heard he's with, I've heard he's with the Rocor MP. I see no reason to doubt it, but Orthodoxy is now, huh?
I was going to ask if that state was Connecticut.
It's possible. Was that
he could answer that?
Yeah, maybe John MC could answer that. Orthodoxy is now considered economia in World Orthodoxy. Yeah, that sounds about right. At the local hospital near me, how do EOs get the sacraments since the nearest Orthodox EO church is 2 hours away in my area? I would assume that the sick person has a priest that they can refer to who would try to make the trip to help them. That would be my guess. That's the way it normally works. If it really offends you so much, we can do the actually Orthodox thing for you, but don't make it a habit. We have heterodoxy to uphold here. That's absolutely true. That's really the way I've heard it, is that a lot of people who are like, I wasn't baptized in whatever heterodox group I was in, but they don't want to baptize me. And they've been like, well, I got baptized. I just demanded it from the priest for 2 years, and afterwards he poured some water. I'm like, seriously? Like, that's really sad. Not to dox it myself, but it's upstate New York. Don't worry. Upstate New York's huge. So it was upstate New York, Father.
Okay.
Let's see here. So as always, it is Sunday night. We have a live call-in show using the link at the chat, at the top of the chat, or you can ask in comments. But if you want to jump in the chat, we are always for that. In any case, let's see here. I guess I'm going to try to, let me see. Did you cover the Metropolitan Saba thing in the Antiochians? I saw that you wrote a new article. Let's just pull up your article here. I don't think we did, but give me just a moment, because I know that was something recent. I mean, yeah, he's been, I don't know that this is his first steps, but he's kind of been, he just joined, so yeah, I guess. Let me just put up this here article from Subdeacon Nectarius's blog. Give me a moment here. And that is orthodoxtraditionalist.com. 1 second. Okay, so the Antiochian Archdiocese, Metropolitan Saba's first steps into American ecumenism. In a not-so-shocking display of heretical ecumenism during Holy Week, the new Antiochian Orthodox Archdiocese Metropolitan Saba Isper, who has been grandstanded by many in the conservative New Calendarist Resist Within movement as a staunch traditionalist, and who recently replaced the newly defrocked Joseph Sehalawi, has been photographed participating in heretical ecumenism with Syriac Monophysites. On May 10th, according to the official Facebook page of the Archdiocese of the Syriac Orthodox Church of the Eastern United States, Monophysite Bishop More Dionysius John Kawak, on behalf of the Standing Conference of Oriental Orthodox Churches, I always love this acronym, SCOOCH, invited Metropolitan Saba to discuss various ecclesiastical issues in the Middle East. All right, so we know that's wrong. So let's just get to the pictures. That's what everyone wants. Okay, so here they are. They're all praying together for dinner. Okay, and then they're all sitting around looking very semi-official. Okay, a lot of women behind them. Actually, it's literally all women behind them. Okay, and then yeah, we got more pictures here. I don't know that. I guess that's Jesus looking very soft in the background. Yeah, that's kind of concerning. Okay, well, it's a Holy Family icon. It's the Union icon. Oh, boy. These guys, man. These guys. All right, they take all their pictures and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that was gross. All right. Well, we've covered it now. Subdeacon Nectarius, so gross. Very sad. Very sad. Upstate New York, go Bills. Yeah, I think even Bills fans are tired of saying that. Lesser known are just saints of true Orthodox churches that new people may not know about, aside from Saint Mirti Diostisa, not Sophia. Sophia is what the Patriarchate calls her, as they falsely rewrote her life and pretend that she was never a nun under Metropolitan Cyprian, St. Philaret of New York, St. John. There's St. John the Almsgiver. There's St. I think it's Joseph the Martyr at Jacob's Well. There's St. John the Romanian. We consider there's a lot of saints that we have. And there's, Jeem says soft. Yeah, very soft. He scooched over to ecumenism. That scooch, man. Scooch. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. The old acronym for the World Orthodox was SCOBA, which for me was hilarious because as a Spanish person, a SCOBA is a broom. So, Frank says, do you ever watch Sam Shamoun? No, not really. I mean, I know he's a very talented apologist. He has argued very well against Muslims. But I've seen darker sides of some of the stuff that he does. I've seen him very violently cursing on stream against other Christians. I don't understand. I'm kind of horrified by that, by some of the stuff. So yeah, I pray for him and I hope he gets out of his Nestorianism. But he's got an anger issue he has to work on. I'm from Utica, and I've never heard the term accommodation baptism. Oh, no, that's an ecumenist expression. I see. Why do they all have a box of tissues? I didn't notice they had a box of tissues. Let me head over there. Let me see. Oh, yeah. No, he has a tissues, but he has a flower pot, and he has tissues, and he has... Okay, there's a lot of tissues. I don't know. I guess they cry a lot during these meetings. I don't know what to say. I don't know. It's very sad being there. It's a ecumenist papier. To wipe the tears of Christ. And he looks sad enough in that picture in the back. Wow. Oh, just wow. It's the little details that I don't catch that always make it much more interesting when we're on these shows. As always, we're here for your questions, comments. Click on the link. You want to?
That's a good question. That's a serious question.
Like I don't get it. I did like Dan. There's like 6 or 7 boxes of tissue paper. What are you? Tissues, I noticed. St. Joseph the Martyr at Jacob's Well in Jerusalem. Can I tell you more about him? There's not much that I know. He was an ascetic. He was a monastic there that guarded Jacob's Well, and he was killed by a group of settlers. Then they covered it up and said he was totally not killed by settlers. He was just killed by a random Jewish man who happened to be a settler with another guy who might have also been a settler. Anyway, so yeah, hi Polly. I have no idea. Do you know how to find out about Archbishop Elpidophoros, which he's in Odessa, and wondering how he's faring with Ukraine and the bombing is going on? What do you think of their splitting GOCK? Well, I thought they were still with the GOCK. It was Rokana in North America who split with the GOCK, even though they still have fairly, I think, cordial relations. If you're trying to reach out to Metropolitan Elpidophoros, you want to find out how he is. The best thing I can suggest is to go to synod, synod.ruschurchabroad.org. Click on Spisok, which will look like a CPI, and you want to look for his information. You can find his email, phone number, and you can express good wishes. There's even bank information if you want to donate to his. I have no idea what is going on with Elpidophoros in Ukraine. I just don't know. I don't keep track that well. But hopefully he's alive. No, you might be right. It's probably St. Philomenos. I just didn't remember his name. I'm just dumb. Dr. James Lakudis, do you follow his stuff? Well, 20 years ago, I answered Dr. James Lakudis back and forth in emails. 25 years ago, it's going on now. He didn't have much to say to me after it was over, except he just was like, okay, I'll pray for you, because he had no good answers. I believe on one of my old websites, you can find, I would type in Sweden Locutus on in a search engine other than Google, like Dogpile or something, to find the old letters that we wrote back and forth. But yeah, I'm not impressed with the stuff. He converted from Orthodoxy to Roman Catholicism, as I remember it, as like a teenager. And as a teenager in that time, remember, this was still in the time before Vatican II. So they were still doing, masses, like low masses and stuff, and then the high masses on Sunday. There would at least be some superficial similarities to the Orthodoxy he grew up in. Especially if it was really Americanized, which was happening at that time. So he may have just, at the time, would you want to be part of a foreign sounding Greek parish that looks like this, kind of like this Roman Catholic Church anyway, or be part of the rest of the country? A lot of people kind of went into that Americanized mode. What's this? Okay, also, Orthodox thoughts on Sergei Dumenko's church. That would be Sergei Dumenko is the, are you talking about Epiphany Dumenko, the OCU head? Removing Alexander Nevsky and looking to do the same with Saint Ksenia and Matrona of Moscow from the Choir of Saints. There have been a lot of speculations about whether Matrona of Moscow is not just a real saint, but a real person. They have found that there is a different Matrona of Moscow from 200 years before that has a virtually identical life. And there's a question of whether she was kind of recreated for the service of the Soviet Union, that suddenly she mysteriously appeared to Stalin, so on and so forth. And then she may not be real. As for Alexander Nevsky, that obviously that's disgusting. That's part of our history. Same thing with Saint Ksenia. I haven't read an article where they said it removed Saint Ksenia. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But if they're doing that, it doesn't surprise me. Again, Epiphany Dumenko versus versus the Moscow fellow. Neither, it's like one snake eats the other. Neither of them represents true Orthodoxy, and there have been true Orthodox in Ukraine this whole time. Not the least of which are people like Metropolitan Saba. No one cares about them. So keep that in mind, that when you are pitting the whole EP versus MP game, you're still playing their game. You're still their pawn, because there are other Orthodox people who are being harmed that they specifically refuse to talk about. You might want to be more concerned about them, and that's why I definitely recommend trying to reach out to them directly. Let's see here. So we are now going into the end of the first hour of the chat. As always, please call in live using the link at the top of the chat or ask in comments. Again, we're keeping it loose today. We'll probably go another half hour unless a whole bunch of questions pop up. In which case we will then kind of expand on that. But we'll take a look here at this here Diamond Brothers thing. I also got a message. Okay, very good. Okay, very good, very good. And one moment. Okay, and Renaissance Prometheus has popped up. I've seen that name from Twitter with the little Buc-ee's logo. How's it going? If you have questions, I know you're kind of like, I don't know, you're Roman Catholic or something. Whatever you want to ask, feel free. Go for it. I've heard the speculation that Matrona of Moscow was meant to replace Saint Ksenia as a Soviet version that's more ambiguous towards him. That's very possible, because Saint Ksenia was glorified by the Russian Church abroad before the Union. So it's very possible that they, not realizing that this saint was among them, started constructing a pretend Matrona of Moscow just because they didn't even realize Saint Ksenia was buried in St. Petersburg. So, okay, and what's up, donuts? Yeah, the donatist crowd squad has arrived. Okay. Did you do a video on the video of the failure of Eastern Orthodoxy? I think the guy is a Calvinist. I really appreciate you talking and not yelling like Dyer. Well, a lot of people really appreciate not yelling like Dyer, but have we done it? I thought we did a video on the failure of Eastern Orthodoxy. Let me go through a quick search and we'll see what I find. One moment. Hopefully this isn't too long a video. Failure of Eastern Orthodoxy. Did we do this video? Let me see. Okay, that's 2 hours long. Wow. That's big. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It's just, let's give it 5 minutes and see what we discover here. Hold on. Why not? We'll give it a few minutes. We're not misers here with our time. Let's put this on the screen. Paul, you rock with St. Kirill Lucaris? No, I don't. I don't know what that means. I think that his life was misrepresented in some ways, but relax. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think studying history makes us a little bit more nuanced and distanced from events emotionally, so I don't get like that. Let's see here. We're going to go to the failure of Eastern Orthodoxy. We're going to give this 5 minutes, and then we'll give the Diamond Brothers video 5 minutes, and let's see if it's worth it. I'm going to speed it so we get 7 minutes of quality time in that space of that 5. Here we go.
Thus we proclaim Christ, our true God, and honor his saints in words, writings, thoughts, sacrifices, churches, and holy icons. On the one hand, worshiping and reverencing Christ as God and Lord, and on the other, honoring the saints as true servants of the same Lord of all, and offering them proper veneration. This is the faith of the apostles. This is the faith of the fathers. This is the faith of the Orthodox. This is the faith on which the world is established.
Okay, wow. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. That's like the first, I think that's probably the only time in that parish they've anathematized something, but let's continue on and see what happens.
Is this really the faith of the apostles, the fathers, and the Orthodox? Is it really the faith on which the world is established?
Okay.
On September 25th, 2022, the Patriarch of Moscow addressed his nation.
Okay.
Жертвенность есть величайшее проявление самых лучших человеческих качеств. И вот мы знаем, что сегодня многие погибают на полях междоусобной брани. Церковь молится о том, чтобы брань сия закончилась как можно быстрее, чтобы как можно меньше братьев убили друг друга в этой братоубийственной войне.
That's a good wish.
И одновременно церковь осознает, что если кто-то, движимый чувством долга, необходимостью исполнить свою присягу, остается верным своему призванию и идет исполнять то, что его долг ему велит, если в исполнении этого долга человек погибает, то он, несомненно, совершает деяние, равносильное жертве. Он себя приносит в жертву за других. И потому верим, что эта жертва смывает все грехи, которые человек совершил.
What?
Did Jesus really die so that we could...
Wait. Okay. First off, I am not... This is Patriarch Kirill. Obviously, we don't recognize him as he's a surgeonist. I don't know that I feel too comfortable with the wording there because there's kind of an implication there that it doesn't go... Like, there were a lot of people who were saying Patriarch Kirill says all soldiers get status of martyrdom if they die. This is actually what he said, so it's a little bit trickier to say. Like, he's saying they sacrifice their lives for their people, but they're still killing in war. That's not quite the way you're supposed to use that, so it's still wrong and questionable. Let me see here. We're gonna give it that full 5-minute treatment, so 2.5 minutes to go.
Could atone for our sins in battle. In spite of all its claims, Eastern Orthodoxy isn't the faith of the apostles nor the fathers. It's a corruption and twisting of that faith through man-made traditions.
Well, he has to tell which man-made traditions he's talking about.
Exactly. Well, it's a 2-hour video, but I have a feel it's going pretty badly already. So, here's Subdeacon Nectarios. Welcome. Christ is risen. You're muted. Okay. Anyway, well, that's fine. Well, Christ is risen anyway. When you feel like unmuting, you let us know. Okay? He's doing a thing.
I gotta mute truly is risen.
No problem. All right, so we're giving this another 1.5 minutes. I mean, this looks like it's going to be a separate video on its own, but it's not very good so far. Like, I'm not seeing anything. that's going to impress me here, but we'll see.
Spoken or speaking from herself, but from the Spirit of God, who being her teacher, she is ever unfailingly rich. It is impossible for her to in any wise err, or to at all deceive, or be deceived.
Right.
But like the divine scriptures, is infallible, and has perpetual authority.
Okay, perfect.
The Pharisees claimed to have an unwritten tradition that went back to Moses, and was just as authoritative as the written word of God.
Wait. Did he just jump from the Synod of 1672 to the Pharisees? Wow. Okay. I love Protestant videos sometimes when they do this stuff.
Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, "Why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashen hands?" He answered and said unto them, Well hath Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, This people honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
The church fathers spoke a great deal of tradition, that which had been handed down.
From the apostles.
Scriptures as the heart of that tradition.
We have learned from none other the plan of our salvation.
Okay, is it just me, or is it kind of annoying that he's using a bunch of different accents with this? Like now, St. Irenaeus, I mean, he sounds like he's like some like foreign food host.
Than from those through whom the gospel has come down to us, which they did at one time proclaim in public, and at a later period, by the will of God, handed down to us in the scriptures to be the ground and pillar of our faith.
Okay, do we get
Irenaeus passed along the
Wait a second.
those who knew the apostles.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a second. The scriptures to be the ground and pillar of our faith, he's misquoting. It's the church, which is the pillar and ground of the faith. Unless I'm misreading something right now. But Paul told Timothy the church was the pillar and ground of the truth. Okay?
Right. Well, it looks like, you know what? I hate to say this, but this is already 4:27. I say we kill this one. We'll do 5 minutes of the Diamond Brothers one, and we're going to get to comments right now. We may do one of this, but I feel like it's going to be the same sort of low-level deception. We've already spotted multiple errors, and it's not even been 5 minutes yet. So let's go. Let's see here. Yeah, there's some Presbyterian group. Last heard, more to come. Not sure. I wonder if I should visit the Diamond Brothers next time I'm in New York. I don't know. The way they make those videos, I sense that there's like a real weird tick to them, and I'm like afraid you show up, like especially unannounced, and they'll like call the cops on you or something. I don't know. They're creepy. Hey, it's Big Papa Mikhailov. Yep, that's right. Confession of Dosisterios.
And I'd like to say that for that reader who is talking about the Presbyterians, if you have a URL, a website, I'd like to see it, being a former Presbyterian myself.
Okay, and what happened with Metropolitan Saba? Well, he's joined the Ecumenist crowd. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's making the rounds. You know, you get enthroned in World Orthodoxy, you got to make your Ecumenist rounds. First, you go visit the other Eastern churches. You go visit the Scooch, and then after you visit the Scooch, you go visit the Anglicans, and then you're covered.
What a horrible acronym, too, right?
I love it. The Scooch.
The
Scooch. Metropolitan Saba was praying with Monophysite photos on my website. Pharisees come after the Maccabean revolts, not the days of Moses. What is this guy reading? Very good point. I actually think I had that discussion with someone today, which was really weird. We were talking about the Maccabees. Aha, someone else is joining. Saba, welcome. And DTC, evening. Yes, everyone I don't like is a Pharisee. That's correct. So here we are. And so we have covered this video, and it's pretty depressing. So we're going to take a look here. Okay, the most controversial question. So there's no Western Rite in True Orthodoxy. The only place in True Orthodoxy where there is a Western Rite is my synod. That's it. That's it. Nobody else likes it. It is not a common thing. We do missionary work to Westerners, but it's just not common in Orthodoxy. That's just sorry. But if it's any consolation, the Western Rite that we do is difficult enough that you will feel just as uncomfortable in a Western Rite church as you would in an Eastern Rite church, but you will still get the beauty of the tradition of the West.
And remind them, don't forget that England, Ireland, Scotland, were Orthodox in the beginning. And so there's plenty of good history. It's just that people kind of marginalize them, but it's great stuff.
Yeah. Let me see here. Hold on. Diamond Brothers may have mob ties. I'm kidding. I don't know what they have, but they definitely have at least a cult going for them. Orthodox Pubs, what's the link to your website? You can type that in if you want, Subdeacon Victorious, but it's orthodoxtraditionalist.com. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Father Joseph is in a Western Rite Church. We are not, there's no, okay. A Western Rite Church would technically mean my parish or my church was Western Rite. That is not correct. My parish and mission is an Eastern Rite Church. Jurisdictions are neither Western or Eastern Rite. A bishop is in charge of all his parishes. So there's no such thing as a Western or Eastern Rite metropolis or archdiocese. You just have an archdiocese. We support Western Rite missions. Father Boniface is in the Western Rite. He does very nice services there. I used to be Western Rite until I was ordained a priest. I still use the Western Rite when it's requested of me by converts. If people ask for it, I will do it. I like it, but I don't like making a big deal of it. Orthodoxy is orthodoxy. And the simple reality is there's so much misunderstanding about Western Rite in the 20th and 21st centuries that even the stuff we hear from people who say, isn't your religion this? Most of the time people don't even know what that is. What's up, DTC? And Wales too. Yes, very true. It's the name
What
of
is Diamond Brothers? What is that? I've never heard of that before.
Oh, you never heard of the Diamond Brothers?
No, I have not.
Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can find a compilation. Give me just a moment. They're different. Hold on. I'm gonna look because there are literally I don't want to say that they're kind of like almost a practical joke, but they're wacky. They're very wacky.
They are self-parody, but they don't realize it.
I'm trying to find something that would show how much of a self-parody they are, because really what it is there are these two brothers, I believe they're biological brothers, who kind of they started their own supposed order, but it had no blessing. I think they might have been connected with the Feeneyite group out of Boston, but then they separated out and they lived in their trailer on a big property and began declaring, they started a website called VaticanCatholic.com, where basically they started declaring that the popes since John Paul II weren't real popes, and that basically they became like semi-sedevacantists where they'd go to church in a Uniate church, but then I heard they stopped that. Oh, okay, here's some stuff. Right now there's a major schism going on in the Diamond camp. There are one or two Sede bishops who now agree with all their doctrines, but they don't want to accept the bishops, and so it's all ad homs. Oh, that's wacky.
It's like some weird papist stuff.
Yeah, they're very papist. But we actually tried to get them to debate us, but what we realized is that they're not only kind of a sedevacantist cult, they're also not very honest. Like, we've experienced certain attempting to reach them, they make it impossible. But then I've heard even Roman Catholic apologists saying that they'll try to challenge them and they'll wait till like the person's like eating dinner or something. They'll be like, oh, we'll reach you at some other time. And, then they'll try to catch them and record it. It's so dishonest. That's not apologetic. That's a practical joke. Also, those bishops are making careful criticisms at the Diamonds don't like any criticism and are somewhat toxic when they receive criticism. Yeah, they are. We've known that for years. Father Joseph, look at what I said. R.E. Diamonds. Okay, yes, I did. They weren't part of the Feeneyite group, but instead the Wathanite group, which had different. Okay, these are all just papist sects. Okay, they're all. To me, they're all like Pope worshippers. They're not. There's no concept past that. You could take the Palmarians who have reduced the liturgy to 5 minutes, but they do have a nice looking Pope and some statues and stuff. As far as I'm concerned, they're as good as the other ones. So just that if you're gonna do that, you may as well do it up. But as always, come again. Oh, I thought someone said something. Anyway. All right, well, we've got now Subdeacon Victorious and we've got Saba, and so I want to hear from both of you. Subdeacon Victorious, what's new with you? How has your bright week been, and what's going on?
It's good. Just we just finished that book I was writing. So we're putting the final corrections on it and everything. So that's gonna be an interesting one.
That's the one about breaking communion, correct?
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Based on this whole.
When to leave your bishop.
You have to stay. The church fathers say you have to stay.
Yeah, so he's collected all of the major cases in which this happened to see what the people did.
Yeah,
and the answer is going to be pretty clear.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and the update, since I'm talking to you, is for St. Joseph Petrograd.
Petrograd, yeah, my namesake.
Yeah, so that's translated, done being translated, and she's updating. She's editing it right now, so my translator is doing her editing. Should be done within 4 days, so getting so much closer. It's going to take a while because that book's like 700 pages or something. But
it is. It's a huge book. I've read parts of the Russian, so I know.
Yeah,
but it's a fantastic text, and it will answer a lot of things about my namesake, and hopefully increase his cultus in this side of the world. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
I know I want a copy. And let me see here. Saba, what's new with you? How's your bright week? How did your bright week treat you?
I ate too much, but that's neither here nor there. With the video of the failure of Eastern Orthodoxy, I actually watched that video a while back.
I'm sorry, it was pretty bad in the first 5 minutes. So,
oh, it only gets worse. One thing I noted, and I think Patrick Trugila mentioned this as well, is that whenever they have people reading the Holy Fathers, they have
with a funny accent.
Yeah, like they're always not American, but whenever they're reading from the gospel or they're quoting some Protestant person, it's average American sounding person. And I find that interesting because it's trying to say, oh, Orthodoxy is foreign.
Yeah, that's exactly the goal. It's a very dishonest presentation, and that underlying it is Orthodoxy is foreign, Protestantism is American.
It reminds me of that film Gangs of New York, where all the antagonists have this British accent, but even though the good guys are Irish, they sound like Americans, which is strange. It reminds me of that. The other thing I wanted to point out, I hate to do this, but our dearest brother Ezekiel, he has a question that he put in the Discord, and he wants you to take a look at it. I haven't seen
where did he put it? Where did he put it?
I think in show questions.
Show questions. I keep forgetting show suggestions and show questions. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, that's a very large question, but we can try to answer part of it. I'm gonna put that in the comments, and then I will list it first. Good evening, Father. I just wanted to ask if you know of any historical record of the structure and traditions of the very early church, right after the death of Christ. Any help is greatly appreciated, like venerating icons and relics. Also, things like confession and communion would also help. The strongest thing that I can suggest for you to read is to get a copy of, and I hate to say this, but get a copy of the Apostolic Fathers. My favorite translation is by Kelly. You want to get a copy of that. You want to read through each of those fathers. You want to read through the scriptures and Acts. You want to read the Didache. If you're looking for a live play-by-play, you simply will not. That doesn't exist realistically. Now he's holding. He's holding the Erdman series of the Apostolic Fathers. It is very complete. Get yourself copies of that. Get to know St. Ignatius. Get to know St. Irenaeus. Get to know St. Polycarp. Get to know St. Justin Martyr. And most importantly, get to know the Book of Acts. You know, all of these things are there if we just try to read it carefully. It follows, for example, St. Ignatius says these people do not believe that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Christ, so we are to separate from them. There's no reason to assume that he meant something different from us.
Let me read a quote. Now that we're talking about the Ante-Nicene Fathers. Mm-hmm. So it's a quote from St. Ignatius. It's pretty awesome. Brethren, do not be not deceived. If any man follows him that separates from the truth, he shall not inherit the kingdom of God. And if any man does not stand aloof from the preacher of falsehood, he shall be condemned to hell. For it is obligatory neither to separate from the godly nor to associate with the ungodly. If anyone walks according to a strange opinion, he is not of Christ, nor a partaker of his passion, but is a fox, a destroyer of the vineyard of Christ. Have no fellowship with such a man, lest ye perish along with him.
Absolutely.
That's in this letter, in his letters here.
These are in the earliest letters of the Apostolic Fathers, those who were trained by the apostles. These concepts that we talk about are concepts that they talked about. And so they're made. Will you find, for example, evidence of risas on icons? Probably not. But that's really relatively minor. The veneration of icons and relics did exist before the legalization of Christianity by St. Constantine. So all of these things can be found, but you have to look in the early church fathers. You have to look in the Apostolic Fathers. You have to read those texts. This is an interesting point that Frank says, but not exactly totally accurate, but we'll do a quick correction. It says Pope Damasus and St. Jerome put together the canon of scriptures, and Carthage and Rome were a huge reason why we have the canon. Not totally accurate. There was things like the Muratorian fragment, etc. There was some sort of awareness and general awareness, particularly with the New Testament, that you do find. It's not as simple as the church stamped a canon together in 393. There were canonical lists that were written at that time, but they already had an idea of mostly what was in the canon, with some disputes over books like Revelation. And so let me see here. I want to go back to, let's go further, because Father called, okay, would Michael Lofton debate or Joe Hirschmeyer? I don't know who the second guy is. We did talk to Michael Lofton once. After the Fatima debate we had on Reason and Theology, which frankly the Fatima worshippers were embarrassed by, it was deleted from his server and they refused to talk to me at all. So that's as far as that goes. Father called us papists good is what I heard. No, you heard wrong. You have to become Orthodox. Do true Orthodox recognize Elder Paisius of Athens as a saint? No, we don't, because he was glorified by the Ecumenical Patriarchate. We don't recognize the authority of the Ecumenical Patriarchate to glorify saints. There is a difference of opinion regarding Elder Paisius. From what I see mostly it's negative. So yeah, I don't recognize that. Any comments on the Orthodox prophecy worshippers? Basically, generally Paisius the Athonite, Ephraim of Arizona, now Neophytus of Morphu. Also, any thoughts on the prophecies of Cosmas the Aetolian? I have no thoughts on the latter because I haven't looked at those probably in years. As for the other guys, no. I mean, somebody, you wrote an article about somebody the EP glorified who was like some Hindu nun type thing. She was like a Hindu friend nun. I forget her name. But Gabriella Papayani, I think it was.
Yeah, she. Well, that wasn't mine. I was just republishing something that came from the
New Calendar Church of Greece, right?
Yeah.
But here's my point. Yeah. The EP is going to be glorifying ecumenists and people that agree with their position. So you should take whatever they say with a grain of salt instead of taking it like it's gospel. You need to remember that these prophecies, etc., are coming from people who are willing to commune with ecumenists. They don't have that level of truth. What is that book called again? What's your edition called? Because I know that one's very common, but it is also a little higher on the price list.
This?
Yeah, that's the.
This is the. This is out of print now. It's the.
Okay. Let me see if I can find the other one. Hold on, because the other one is a very basic text.
I put the link in the link for it online in the.
Oh, okay, cool. Good. Let me see here. Trying to see if I can find the. Oh, there it is. Early Church Fathers. I'm gonna try to find that.
I think
so this
on the liturgy are good too. I was trying to look for some articles that I had pulled down, but the liturgy from the transition from the temple to the church, you have transitions of, let's say, the hierarchical system, the liturgical system. So these were follow-throughs that were kept, which are quite logical. I love it when the Protestants say that the early church was democratic, but the Testament is in its order. And so And so then the liturgy, the actual term for minister in the New Testament is liturgus, which is liturgist, which means that they were heading up the liturgy in the temple worship, and so therefore the New Testament church. And so amongst all the fathers, they're going to say all this too.
Absolutely. Okay, he disappeared. Just going to wait for him to come back, but it's a valid point. Something, but St. Ignatius just didn't know we had to wait for an EC to separate. No, I guess not.
Yeah, I was writing that book. That was a funny thing. I was like, yeah, we were supposed to wait from 90 AD to 325, we were supposed to ignore all the heresies and be in communion with them for over 300 years, right? So.
Frank says, Nick Sanatoto, I remember the debate said he was reading the Church Fathers' Councils. It's kind of similar to Sola Scriptura with the Fathers of the Church. Welcome back, Father. You were saying?
Yeah, my phone had a glitch. Well, just the consistency of the transition from the temple to the church. There's some good articles on it, but I just couldn't dig one up right off the bat. But that's just another point to add on to what you all are saying.
Yep, very true. Nick I assume he's talking about Nick Santosuoso. Remember the dates that he was reading Church Fathers' Council. It's kind of like similar to Sola Scriptura with the Fathers of the Church. To some degree, that I would say that is a Roman Catholic method. They don't really care what the fathers say when they're reading it holistically. They only care for whatever little quotes they can say to support their version of history. So yeah, definitely I agree there. Can you share what you know about the reasons for the temporary split of the GOCK and the Old Calendar Romanians? Have heard accusations of Cyprian heresy still being taught. My answer to that would be I'm neither a member of the GOCK nor the Romanians, and none of us here, I believe, are high up enough to make any sort of authoritative statement or commentary. So I don't feel comfortable answering that. If you want to, you can. No, okay.
I'm in the GOCK, but it has to do. That has nothing to do with us. It has to do everything. What's going on? Some internal struggles in their own synod, so we don't have anything.
Right? Yeah. COVID. Yeah. Exactly. What you should do is, in all honesty, if you are concerned, I would write the hierarchies in question. Saint Polycarp is such a great introduction to understanding the early church. He absolutely is. Thank you. Seems there's only one bishop of Jesus. Okay. Again, not touching it. I am not the True Orthodox World's publicist. It's not my job to. I'm not the diplomat, not the publicist. My job is to answer questions about Orthodoxy and defend the faith. I'm not that.
None of us are bishops, so we don't know what's going on those levels.
Exactly. Of course, my question was not on the legitimacy of their prophecies, but rather the personality cult surrounded by the alleged prophets of world orthodoxy. How would you deal with such individuals? I personally wouldn't. Like, my view is this: if somebody is coming up to me and they're like, "You must believe what this holy elder is saying," I'm gonna just kind of politely pat him on the shoulder and be like, "I don't." And you just got to remind them to be more sober, and to be more sober when you're reading. Remember that even when we're reading prophecy in the scripture, it even talks about using sobriety, etc., in how we're supposed to be reading things. We're not supposed to be going by private interpretation. We're not supposed to be coming up with, and these things, these supposed prophecies of these folks are often very creative. And so you want to, it's the opposite of how we're supposed to be doing things in Orthodoxy.
A friend of mine just sent me a laundry list of prophecies that never came to fruition with the Metropolitan Saba. So, and according to some, he's the real deal. He
participated in ecumenical services.
According to some around here, he's the real deal. And
what it comes down to is that I look at it this way. With the elders, it's a little bit easier because usually they've passed on. But when people try to worship these cults of personalities of World Orthodox guy, like all the stuff they're saying about Neophytus of Morphu, they were saying about Seraphim of Piraeus before COVID. Then COVID came, and he turned around and said, if you don't get the shot, you're going to jail. You should go to jail and be executed.
Or you're defrocked,
Yeah, defrocked, exactly. So the point is, then everyone's like, oh my, we can't support this guy.
But then just recently, these photos or these videos with Neophytus praying with some Maronite papist came out, and
but they're like,
he was the real deal. I thought he was the real thing.
It's always the same. It's like a merry-go-round of heresy. It's just such a shame. but hopefully more people get off.
I remember in my journey through the Roman Catholic Church, all these people who were getting locutions, and a lot of these locutions were prophecies always involving the supremacy of America. And it was these are all political locutions. And that's like,
wow,
this isn't from the Lord. Sorry.
Maybe it was from the CIA. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. If you're listening, guys. Anyway, the point is, all right. So let me see here. So yeah, that's how I would do that. It's going to be similar to Sola Scriptura. Well, he can make that argument, but to be Sola Scriptura, you have to have that commitment. I personally said I was Sola Patristica. I have no problem with saying that because the fathers confirm the Scripture and vice versa. Because they have a stranglehold on Greece, and the fact that the TOs do not accept them as saints is a big point against TO for them. We don't care. And I know that sounds horrible, but let me explain why. In 1950, the population of true Orthodox in Greece was approximately 1 million of 8 million. It's now 2 to 4 million out of 12 million. It's virtually doubled, if not tripled. The simple reality is, sure, Yaya may be interested in what Elder Paisius had to say, but her modernist grandchildren aren't. They aren't having kids. They're becoming dinks. They've lost the tradition. They're just basically like giving it up. And so the people who stick with tradition, who have families, etc., increasingly are coming to true Orthodox churches. Will win by default, even if it means that it's going to involve a generation of lost people. That's tragic. I don't know whose microphone is going crazy here, but let me see.
Mine?
No. Well, that's not. Okay, great. Okay. Let me see here. And so, what else do we have?
I have looking up something right now on Orthodox Info.
Okay.
Hold on. I don't know. There's has to do with that. Like the World Orthodox Saints and stuff from the Ecumenical Patriarchate. Elder Gervasios Padak something.
Okay.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Ultimately, the ultimate question when it comes to glorification of saints is this: by what authority have they been glorified saints? And if
this one in particular has said. So this one was glorified by the Ecumenical Patriarchate, and he's quoted saying, "We'll obey the innovators for now, remaining on guard for subsequent changes."
Oh, of course. How convenient.
Saints don't say we're gonna, with St. Paul or St. Peter, St. Jude, any of them, would they ever say, "Oh, we'll just
watch the Pharisees more carefully"?
Yeah, we'll watch the Judaizers for now. We don't, we
don't do anything yet. Just take your time. Raffle Steak says, does TO recognize World Orthodox sacraments as valid? I would ask, do World Orthodox recommend true Orthodox sacraments as valid? When you find that out, I think you'll get your answer. And I know, I would say the answer is still no, but the whole point is I want you to hear it from World Orthodox clergy because they won't tell you, because the guy who says no sounds mean. That's the reason. You already answered my one question. Huh?
I mean, realistically, just from that, from my book, the GOC book.
Yeah.
The New Calendar Church of Greece was the first Matthewites towards us, really, with their 1920 encyclical. Oh, you're going to hell if you don't adopt our calendar.
Well,
right?
to be fair to the Matthewites, they didn't start killing people. The New Calendars did. The EOs is Freemasons in the Church, the Catholic Church. It's the same, the Freemasons and NWOs. We just have to carry on. Freemasonic infiltration, government infiltration, these things happen. But the reality is, in the end, it's the confession of the faith. Hero worshiping, yeah, unfortunately, that's what a lot of people are doing. Besides your website, is there a website full of links, articles, podcasts, etc., of historical records of major ecumenistic events of significance to help open World Orthodox? Right now, Subdeacon Nectarius' Orthodox Traditionalist blog is putting out a lot of stuff. As for historical records, I never saw my website as a historical record until I realized it was 20 years old this year. But it is, so I don't think anything is like it. But
really?
the point is, Yeah, it's our 20th anniversary in August. So the point is that, yeah, it's a historical archive at this point. Great. Okay. But there's also rabbit holes. There's other articles, other links you can follow through it so you can see the bigger picture. And the truth of the matter is, if a person says that's too complicated, my easy-to-follow website, they're probably not that interested anyway. Sorry for the stupid question. So who do you commemorate in true Orthodox? We commemorate our hierarchies. Not a stupid question. Totally fair. In my prayers, I commemorate his beatitude, Metropolitan John, and the Holy Synod. And I remember our sister synods in prayers at the liturgy. Same thing, I'm sure, Subdeacon Nectarios remembers Archbishop Kalinikos and Metropolitan Demetrius in prayer. Father Boniface recognizes, like myself, Metropolitan John, and our sister synods in prayer on the side. And Saba is a reader, so he doesn't have to commemorate anyone. No, just kidding. You have to commemorate, obviously, Archbishop Andre. I have a question. If we have to see whose authority canonized someone, how do we understand the canonizations by the GOC until 1965? Not exactly sure I understand your question. Canonizations or glorifications are simply done with a final panihida and the veneration of the icon for the matins. That's all it is. I don't know which glorifications you're concerned about, but I would just ask the hierarchy question. Forgive me if it's confusing or worded badly. It's not your fault, but it is an odd question. I don't think there was any controversy about those. I think World Orthodox accepts true Orthodox sacraments. No, they don't. I know that for a fact, repeatedly. And so that's a nice thing to say until you see a family member get chrismated. So no, that's not true. Jesus should have called for a temple council with the Pharisees and the Sadducees and let consensus decide. I'll take that as the sarcasm it is. For the time being, we will obey these innovators, remaining on guard for subsequent changes. Who stays with the innovators? Well, Father.
So this quote is actually, I guess he's canonized by the Ecumenical Patriarchy now. So they have that, Gabriella or whatever her name is.
Papiani, yeah.
Yes, I mean.
Yep. Okay,
that's it right there, man.
Mm-hmm. And 20th year celebration record long stream. I will probably do a 20th anniversary celebration thing. God willing, if I live that long, for August, then yeah, definitely, because we've gone from muckrakers and troublemakers to some degree becoming kind of establishment sellouts, and now we leave other people to do the muckraking, and we just sit back and. Okay, we don't just sit back. We keep going. Anyway, let's see. Can the Eon Catholic Church ever mend fences? Absolutely. The Roman Catholic Church can put out a statement, the Pope leading it, and they can repent of all their heresies, starting from the Filioque, and they can send in a letter saying that they will accept however they are accepted, whether by laymen or other forms, into the true church. And I think once they do that, I think everything will work out great. What do you think of the GOC of America? I assume if you are referring to Metropolitan Demetrius, Subdeacon Nectarios is part of them, so I assume he likes them. If you're referring to Gregory of Colorado's weird sect, we don't think of them. None of us, all over the world. I was blown away. I was blown away because I often thought of it as an American thing. Oh, well, yeah, everyone in America knows about Gregory Colorado. But it was funny when I started the Discord and we started getting people from Europe. Someone's like, here's a statement from the Romanian True Orthodox about Archbishop Gregory Colorado. And I was like, wow, he's not even near them. And they're wrote this long thing about how horrible and schismatic and uncanonical he was. So I was like, wow, he's truly, truly famous in the worst way. So I guess that would make him infamous. Depends on the synod, but Roic in America commemorates His Eminence, Metropolitan Fyodor of Suzdal and Vladimir, and His Eminence Archbishop Andrea Pavlovskoy and Rockland. Yes. The apostles fought and disagreed. Yes, they did, but they didn't break communion with each other. They were still the apostolic body. That doesn't mean anything. I fight and disagree with people all the time. I'm sure we all have it to some degree. That's human. I'm sure it's going to be up to the bishops. Antiochians accept Armenian apostolics with a statement of faith. So why wouldn't they accept someone from Tio? That's a very good question.
Well,
why would they
communion with the Monophysites, though?
Yeah.
So,
why would they accept a Monophysite but not a true Orthodox Chalcedonian? You should ask those questions. Unfortunately, the answers are going to be far more uncomfortable than you realize.
Yeah.
All right. So we are now at 138. So we're gonna. Jonah should have fought within the well. Okay. Alrighty then. And so I don't see any new questions. We've got about 20 minutes before we hit the 2-hour mark. I guess we can go to that Diamond Brothers video for 5 minutes. We're going to give them exactly 5 minutes before we get sick of them, unless they present something so incredible, so mind-blowingly good, so deep.
Did you see that video that someone made about Elpidophoros and all his heresies, like from start to finish?
I did not. Is that a thing? Like, who made that?
Thing.
Send me put it in the private chat and I'll put it up.
All right, let me find it.
I'd rather put that up than some Diamond Brothers. I just can't. It's like, hello. Everybody.
Well, look for that while I look for this, because that's.
I have the Diamond Brothers here. It's going to be tragic. So yeah, we'll do 5 minutes of the Diamond Brothers, and because that's all anyone should be able to stand. And so let us stream it and share it.
I would say this about the Diamond Brothers. I might go visit them later this year, and I don't know how that's going to turn out.
I mentioned this. I saw your chat about it. Honestly, they seem crazy enough that I would be very careful they don't call the cops. Like they're really wet.
That's all fine. I can just leave. You have to get trespassed first.
That's true. Well, I can see that happening. They're wacky. All right, here we go. We've got scary video up. Let's go.
Many non-Catholics who study the early church believe that the case of Pope Vigilius and the Second Council of Constantinople in 553 refutes Catholic teaching on papal supremacy and papal infallibility.
Basically, because you have, to put this kind of bluntly, you have an ecumenical council saying we have authority over and apart from the Roman bishop. Okay.
Many of them think that the incident involving Vigilius is the strongest argument against the papacy.
I don't think anyone thinks that. I mean, it's a very good argument, but it's certainly not the only one.
Pope Vigilius did not condemn these 3 chapters of the books, and because of that, Pope Vigilius was excommunicated. The 5th Ecumenical Council refutes Vatican I in the whole Roman Catholic system.
This video will...
I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. I mean, they certainly didn't believe the Pope. The Roman Catholics certainly don't believe the Pope can be deposed by an ecumenical council, but yeah, go ahead, let's see.
Cover many important points, and it will show why their objections completely fail. It will also demonstrate that non-Catholics such as the Eastern Orthodox and various Protestants often grossly misrepresent the facts about Pope Vigilius and Constantinople II, the 5th Ecumenical Council. In the process, they deceive people. The case of Pope Vigilius and Constantinople II does not refute papal supremacy or papal infallibility.
Which is, of course, based on their reading of Matthew 16:18. Only 3 minutes. And
this subject is somewhat involved and complicated. However, we will try to cover the key points as concisely as possible. Getting into various details is unavoidable, however. I've read all the acts of the Second Council of Constantinople. The controversy centers around what are called the 3 chapters, which were 1. The person and writings of Theodore of Mopsuestia.
Wait, I got to back that up just a second. Hold on. Did he just say, I read the entire proceedings, like, you're like the authority now? Hold on, wait.
Subject is somewhat involved and complicated. However, we will try to cover the key points as concisely as possible. Getting into various details is unavoidable, however. I've read all the acts of the Second Council of Constantinople. Controversy centers around...
Well, this guy read them. Okay, so it's official
what are called
now.
The 3 chapters, which were 1. The person and writings of Theodore of Mopsuestia. 2. Certain writings of Theodoret of Cyrus. And 3. A letter to Mari the Persian, which was often attributed to Ebos of Edessa. Those writings contain certain elements of the Nestorian heresy. Now, the Eastern Roman emperor during this period of the 6th century was Justinian I. Justinian had a deep interest in theology, and he wanted to bring the Miaphysites, who are sometimes called Monophysites, who denied the Council of Chalcedon, back into union with the Church. The Oriental Orthodox are modern-day Miaphysites. After the Council of Chalcedon, the Miaphysites had falsely accused the Church of Nestorianism. They attempted to substantiate their accusation by pointing out that the 3 chapters, which contained elements of Nestorianism, had not been...
So basically, he's trying to use the Monophysite argument against Chalcedon and again. Okay,
consequently, Emperor Justinian tried to secure the condemnation of the 3 chapters in the hope of convincing the Miaphysites to join the Church. The dilemma, however, was that during Session 8 of the Council of Chalcedon in 451, Theodoret of Cyrus, whose writings contained some errors and support for Nestorianism, was restored to his see after he manifested agreement with the council and agreed to anathematize Nestorius. Further, during Session 10 of Chalcedon, the case of Ebos of Edessa was examined. Ebos gave a profession of faith, and his profession of faith was considered sound. Therefore, the Council of Chalcedon judged Ebos worthy of being restored to his see. Since the Council of Chalcedon had restored 2 of the individuals involved in the 3 chapters controversy following their professions of faith, a full-scale condemnation condemnation of the 3 chapters might be perceived by some as an attack on the authority of Chalcedon. Further, the Church had already condemned Nestorianism at the Council of Ephesus. Thus, many did not consider a condemnation of the 3 chapters to be necessary or wise, since it might be considered an attack on Chalcedon and on 2 individuals who were believed to have died in communion with the Church. Nevertheless, the Emperor Justinian, who had the political power, was determined to see the 3 chapters condemned, and he exerted his authority to get it done. In 544-545, Justinian issued an edict in which the 3 chapters were condemned. The text of this edict does not survive, but its contents are clear from references in other texts, such as in Facundus's defense of the 3 chapters. Justinian moved to get the bishops to subscribe to his edict of 544-545, in which the 3 chapters were condemned. The Patriarch of Constantinople at the time, named Minos, hesitated. Here's a description of what happened according to theologian Father Alfonso Muzzarelli, who died in 1813. Quote, "The Patriarchs of the East signed, but Minos of Constantinople added the condition that if these things were not approved by the Roman bishop, his own autograph would be returned to him, which was promised to him under the guarantee of an oath. And so Justinian, feeling that nothing in this business respecting the status of the churches could usefully be attempted without the decision of the Roman pontiff, summons vigilance."
This last part is actually written by a Jesuit in 1813. That's not actually the reason why it was assumed that he wouldn't subscribe. Otherwise,
Rome, as we can see, when he was initially pressured to sign the emperor's edict of 544-545, Minos, the Patriarch of Constantinople, signed, but he added the condition that if these things were not approved by the Pope, his own signature would be returned to him or withdrawn. This fact, which is cited by Muzzarelli and others, comes from Facundus, a 6th century author and bishop who was in Constantinople when Justinian's edict was issued. So at the very outset of this,
why not vote for instead as opposed to this guy?
Controversy, we find further evidence for papal supremacy and the Patriarch of Constantinople's submission to the authority and judgment of the Roman pontiff. The Patriarch
is not a very good proof of papal supremacy.
Patriarch of Constantinople's initial deference to the authority of the Pope in this matter is similar to how
it's not why it sounds like he was using the Pope as an excuse because he didn't want to sign the 3 chapters.
Anatolius, the Patriarch of Constantinople at the time of the Council of Chalcedon in the 5th century, acknowledged that the whole force and confirmation of the Acts of Chalcedon was reserved to Pope St. Leo the Great.
That's a misrepresentation, but we've hit 5 minutes, so I am done with that one. Okay, that was, again, one thing I do not like about Diamond Brothers videos is that they will tend to say, this is what we're going to prove, but they won't outline how they're going to prove it. They're going to force you 2 hours of insults, misquotes, etc., so you finally get through it. So let me see here. Okay, so we've got this. This is from Subdeacon Nectarios. This is going to be more interesting, and then we're going to clear the comments.
I didn't post that. This is the same account that leaked that apology from Athanagoras at the monastery.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we got here. So let's get that on the screen because it's got to be better than the Diamond Brothers because almost everything is.
Archbishop Elpidophoros has been the ruling hierarch of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America for the past 5 years. During his time as bishop, His Eminence has made statements and engaged in activities that are in stark contrast to the teachings of the saints, the ecumenical councils, and the holy canons of the Orthodox Church. Throughout this video, we will see His Eminence express support for the legalization of abortion, praise Freemasonry, kiss the hand of the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, espouse the heresy of perennialism, engage in ecclesiastical abuses, and much more.
Note the use of perennialism. Whenever you hear perennialism, they mean ecumenism, but they're calling it something else because they don't want to tie it to all the condemnations.
We'll examine how the teachings and actions of His Eminence compare to those passed down to us through the infallible ecumenical councils, the holy canons, and the consensus of the Church Fathers. In an address that he gave at the International Religious Freedom Summit in 2021, His Eminence Archbishop Elpidophoros said, quote, "When you elevate one religion above all others, it is as if you decide there is only one path leading to the top of the mountain. But the truth is, you simply cannot see the myriads of paths that lead to the same destination because you are surrounded by boulders of prejudice that obscure your view." He also wrote a speech to be delivered at the opening of the largest Hindu temple in the United States, where he says, quote, "This Hindu temple represents a sacred space. I offer my congratulations and blessings for the success and flourishing of this sacred endeavor." This is very clearly in contradiction to the teaching of our Lord Jesus Christ in the Gospel of John, where he says, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me." We also read in 1 John chapter 4, verses 2 to 3, that every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of the Antichrist. The prophet David also says in Psalm chapter 96 verse 5 that the gods of the nations are demons. St. Paul likewise says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 20 that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to God. The following video is a speech that His Eminence gave at the 2022 March for Life, an annual protest against the horrific sin of abortion that has become so common in the United States. His Eminence makes a bizarre and confusing statement that one could only interpret as an affirmation that while abortion is perhaps sinful and not ideal, it should nevertheless remain legal under the laws of the nation.
Every life is worthy of our prayer and our protection, whether in the womb or in the world. At the same time, we also affirm our respect for the autonomy of women. It is they who bring forth life into the world. By His incarnation, our Lord, God and Savior Jesus Christ assumed human nature through His conception in the womb of the Virgin Mary. Virgin Mary freely chose to bring Him into the world, and God respected her freedom.
If there was any doubt as to the position of the Archbishop, both his own official social media account and the social media accounts of the Archdiocese published an image with the statement just shown. Later that same year, His Eminence said in an interview that, quote, abortion has been in existence for millennia, and the Church has never endorsed it. At the same time, however, we also believe in the fundamental freedom of every human person. As a general rule, women bear the full burden in giving birth and raising their children, while men, otherwise directly involved in the pregnancy, do not bear the same burden. Therefore, we must support women's right to make reproductive decisions of their own free will. Notably, His Eminence never uses the term murder when he speaks about abortion. He instead speaks ambiguously, both affirming the sanctity of life and also the freedom of women under the law. But if abortion is murder, then how is it possible to condone its legality under the law? The teaching of the Church is clear that abortion is murder. In the second canon of the Holy Apostles, it is stated explicitly that abortion is murder, and in the 91st canon, women who have an abortion are to be subject to the penalty prescribed for murderers.
What I'm going to do from here is I am going to actually put this, if you want to watch the rest, it is 33 minutes long. I am putting it in the comments, so you can watch it. It looks like a very good and revealing documentary. Unfortunately, you know, it is it's
pretty long.
That's the reality that we have to deal with, though, when we're talking about Elpidophoros of America, and it's a shame. Because we are in the 9th minute, I am now putting up the questions, comments, close sign, and we're going to get right up to comments that have come up since, so that we can kind of answer them. Okay, I see there's a lot of stuff about food. I'm skipping all of it. No offense, guys. Let me see here. Further down. Okay, so this is, he believes that he and his other bishop are the only bishop left. And, you know, I will add, because I noticed that somebody did make the comment about a Gregory Diamond team up. Well, now they both have Roman Catholic apostolic succession, so sure. Gavin Ortland is Protestant. St. Justinian, one of our church's greatest theologians. I love his views on sports, too. I did bring donuts for Traffica today. Donatism. Gavin Ortland, Hammer of Heretics. Yeah, well, yes, he does backups really well. I made fun of Feodor for bringing donuts for the agape. He hasn't dared to try it since. I think donuts are fine. We're all donatists here.
It was not acceptable in the context he brought them. It's never acceptable.
Ortland is anti-Orthodox and Catholic. Trent Horn beat Ortland. It's not a team. I've invited Ortland to have a discussion. He wasn't interested. Okay, that's food. And Sava, you're here, so I'm going to skip the food comments. What's Yank food? We all know. Cajun food. Under-seasoned bland. That's offensive. There's a lot of northern food that is also seasoned. We need balance. We have Russians and Greeks bringing their own dishes. Therefore, I should bring Mexican. You should, as long as it tastes good. You know, that's fine. Okay, more food. Voice of Reason is doing apologetics. He's pretty good. Is that the dude with the super deep voice? Because yeah, I have not. I've watched one of his videos. It's like, yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he might have a point, but if anyone wants to try to put him in touch so we can debate, I'd be glad for it. Machu makes good Italian food as well. Yes, Italian food is very good. Yes, you are Italian. You can make a good pizza. It's not universal that Italians can make a good pizza. So that's a talent of itself. So perennialism is just a world Orthodox cope to not say ecumenism. That is correct, sir. Father, did you read my Discord post about the name change blessing in cases of sex change that is in the official Eutylogion of the Church of Greece? I assume you mean the New Calendar Church of Greece, added back in 1985. No, I missed that. Hey, that's a rabbit hole you can dig down there, Subdeacon.
Did you?
Wow.
Hold on, let me read my Discord post about the name change blessing.
Down the rabbit hole we go. Let's continue. Parley.
I have not heard of that.
Well, if you find it, we will definitely have you on for an episode for it, because that's creepy and horrible. Okay, don't speak very well. Okay. I am a donut. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, that's my point. That many, like Lycudus, you mentioned earlier, if you're just ethnically attached to something, the truth will come out. So, Frank, don't give up, because the true Catholic faith is the Orthodox faith. I'm a Yank and I prefer bland food. I'm Hispanic and I prefer bland food. So don't shoot me. Father, one more thing I thought about right now. The Immaculate Nun is recognized as a saint in World Orthodox. No, you're talking about she was actually under the Synod and Resistance, not before that. She was in the the Callisto schism, but the point is she was a nun in the 70s who'd passed on. No, they scrapped the whole thing. Like the monastic name, Mirtia de Tisa, is her monastic name, and they call her Saint Sophia because that was her layperson name. Their life literally takes out the entire thing about her being a nun until her death, and then some New Calendar lady had a dream where she's like, "Oh, I wasn't really a nun." Okay, yeah, whatever. These people lie really badly. Reader John, your blessing. Christ is risen. May God bless you. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So we're in the last 5 minutes. And if you want to share your website, Office and Saba, you guys are next, and we're going to close out and say goodnight.
Yeah, orthodoxtraditionalist.com. Come get some books.
Sounds good. And Father Boniface and, Saba and Kaylee, good.
Yeah, sorry. My phone is being goofy. Also getting lots of questions. Okay. Yes, very good to be on the stream. Very good St. Thomas Sunday. Thank you for having me on. Good to talk to everyone. Good to see everyone.
Of course.
Yeah. It's good talking to you guys as always.
As always.
Yeah, God bless. I'm having my my specialty pancake.
All right, sounds good, Father.
Very good.
Everybody, thank you to all of you for being here. Again, I want you to enjoy your evening. Christ is risen. As we close out Bright Week, I want to thank everyone from our guests, Father Boniface, who's always here to help, Subdeacon Nectarios, who's often here to support us, and it's awesome. To Saba, who's always he's here in and out because he's always traveling and doing great and interesting things. And to our listeners, to those who asked questions and had comments, and to those who support our mission, support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on Give, Send, Go, or on Odyssey. We remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for your continued support. Christ is risen, everybody, and you have a great night.
Truly risen.
God bless.